This is the third video of the chapter A Nasty Triangle, and I'm reading from pages 146 and 147. Follow along. Ulauda is tossed below deck, where the smell is so bad he becomes sick and cannot eat. When he refuses food, he is tied down and beaten. Frightened, he is at first unable to talk to anyone because the other Africans do not speak his language. Finally, he meets some men who speak the language of Benin. I asked them if these people had no country, but lived in this hollow place, this ship. They told me they did not, but came from a distant one. I then asked, where were their women? Had they any like themselves? I was told they had. And why, said I, do we not see them? They answered, because they were left behind. I asked how the vessel could go. They told me they could not tell, but that there was cloth put upon the masts by the help of ropes I saw, and then the vessel went on. And the white men had some spell or magic they put in the water when they liked, in order to stop the vessel. I was exceedingly amazed at this account, and really thought they were spirits. Ulauda learns that he is being taken to the white man's country to work. I then was a little relieved and thought if it were no worse than working, my situation was not so desperate. But still, I feared I should be put to death. The white people looked and acted, as I thought, in so savage a manner, for I had never seen among any people such instances of brutal cruelty. And this is not only shown towards us blacks, but also to some of the whites themselves. One white man in particular I saw, when we were permitted to be on deck, flogged so unmercifully with a large rope near the foremast that he died in consequence of it, and they tossed him over the side as they would have done a brute. This made me fear these people the more, and I expected nothing less than to be treated in the same manner. Ulauda describes the scene below decks where people are packed so closely they can hardly turn over. The smells, he says, are, quote, loathsome. Women shriek, the dying groan, and all is, quote, a scene of horror. One day when we had a smooth sea and moderate wind, two of my wearied countrymen, who were chained together, I was near them at the time, preferring death to such a life of misery, somehow made through the nettings and jumped into the sea. Ulauda is taken to Barbados in the West Indies, where he is sold. His story is different from most. He will go to sea as a slave, have many adventures, learn to read, and write his autobiography. I'm going to skip this section and get to the last page. He will take a European name. It is Gustavus Vasa. Many Africans are sent to Virginia, where they are traded for tobacco. Some are exchanged for sugar and molasses in the West Indies. Others are traded for rice in South Carolina. Then the ships head back to their home ports. In Newport, Rhode Island, where we started this voyage, the sugar and molasses are turned into rum, and the triangle begins again. This is the way the terrible triangular trade works. Every colony is a part of it. English ships carry the greatest numbers of Africans into slavery. In the colonies, laws are soon passed that attempt to take away the blacks' humanity. The Virginia Black Code says slaves are property, not people. New York law says runaway slaves caught 40 miles north of Albany on the way to Canada and safety are to be killed. Remember when the first black people arrived as indentured servants at Jamestown? In 1725, about 75,000 blacks are living in the American colonies. By 1790, there are more than 10 times that number. And here is a picture. A Dutch tobacco trader from New Amsterdam. Notice the slaves unloading tobacco in the background and the town of New Amsterdam rising in the far distance. Who do you think the female figure on the left is? New Amsterdam is present-day New York. And I'm going to hold this here for you guys so that you can read